The sound came from the far end of the marble hallway, so soft at first that it blended with the hum of the mansion itself. A broken little sob, the kind that doesn't ask to be heard but still hopes someone will listen. The Millionaire CEO paused mid-step, his phone still glowing in his hand with numbers that could change markets. He had deals to close, meetings to dominate, a life that demanded constant attention, but something about that cry made him turn around. Before this story unfolds, let me ask you something simple. Have you ever seen one small moment change everything? If stories like that touch your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because what happens next will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Ethan Kross was not known for sentiment. In the business world, his name was synonymous with precision and control. He had built his empire from nothing, clawing his way out of poverty with sleepless nights and a will that refused to bend. The mansion he lived in now was proof of that journey: high ceilings, polished floors, silence thick enough to swallow sound. The staff moved quietly, respectfully, as if afraid to disturb the balance of a man who carried the weight of 1,000 decisions on his shoulders. Maria, the maid, had worked there for 6 years. She was invisible in the way only hard-working people often are. She arrived before sunrise, left after sunset, and spoke only when spoken to. Her daughter, Lily, sometimes waited for her in a small spare room near the laundry area when school ended early. Ethan barely noticed the child. Barely noticed anyone, really. But that day, the cry stopped him cold. He followed the sound down the hallway, past framed awards and photographs of galas he barely remembered attending. He found Lily sitting on the floor, her small shoulders shaking, her face buried in her hands. In front of her lay a toy, a plastic horse with one leg snapped clean off. It was old, scratched, clearly loved. "I can't fix it," she whispered to no one in particular. It was Daddy's. Ethan froze. That word, Daddy, hit harder than any boardroom insult ever had. Maria rushed in moments later, her face draining of color when she saw Ethan standing there. She immediately apologized, her words tumbling over each other, explaining she would take Lily away, that she shouldn't have been crying in the house, that she was sorry for the disturbance. But Ethan raised a hand, not in anger, but in confusion. "What happened?" he asked, his voice quieter than Maria had ever heard it. Lily looked up, eyes red and wide. She hesitated, then spoke with the honesty only children possess. "The toy broke. My dad gave it to me before he went to heaven. Mommy says we can't buy another one." The hallway felt smaller suddenly. Ethan's chest tightened. He remembered being that child, clutching the last thing his own mother had given him before illness took her away. He remembered how the world didn't stop for his pain. How nobody came to fix what was broken. "Why can't you buy another one?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. Maria lowered her gaze. "Sir, we have bills. Rent, school fees. Toys are not important." Ethan looked at the broken horse again. To him, it was cheap plastic. To Lily, it was memory. Love, loss. "I'll be right back," he said. The household was stunned when, instead of returning to his office, Ethan left the mansion entirely. An hour passed. Then two. Maria sat in the laundry room holding Lily, terrified she'd be fired for this interruption. When Ethan returned, he didn't come alone. He walked in carrying a small box, and behind him followed a man in work clothes carrying tools. The CEO knelt on the floor in his tailored suit and placed the box in front of Lily. Inside was not one toy, but many, new horses, dolls, puzzles, but Lily didn't reach for them. Her eyes locked on the broken one. "Can you fix him?" she asked. Ethan smiled gently. "That's why he's here." The repairman carefully worked on the toy, reinforcing the leg, making it stronger than before. When he handed it back, Lily hugged it like it was alive. She laughed through tears, a sound so pure that several staff members stopped to listen. But Ethan wasn't done. That evening, he asked Maria to stay after work. Her hands trembled as she stood in his office, expecting a warning or termination. Instead, Ethan slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a new contract. A raise, full health coverage, education support for Lily, and a paid scholarship fund set aside for her future. "I grew up invisible," Ethan said softly. "I won't let her feel that way." Maria broke down. She tried to speak, to thank him, but words failed her. Lily ran forward and hugged his leg without asking. Ethan stiffened for a moment, then slowly rested his hand on her head. The household was never the same after that. Ethan started noticing things: the tired eyes of the cook, the gardener's worn shoes, the security guard who worked double shifts. Small changes followed: better hours, fair wages, respect. The mansion grew warmer, louder, more alive. And every evening, Lily would sit near the window, playing with her repaired toy, waving when Ethan passed by. Sometimes he'd stop. Sometimes he'd listen to her stories. In those moments, the billionaire felt richer than he ever had before. Years later, when Lily stood on a stage accepting a scholarship award, she looked out into the crowd and found Ethan watching, tears in his eyes. She waved. He smiled. All because of a broken toy. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that kindness doesn't require permission, only attention, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. You never know which small moment might change a life, maybe even your own.